Hello and welcome to Shuffling Notes, the channel where we discuss music periodically. We have our lapses and relapses, but we recover.
I can't tell you what it really is. I can only tell you what it feels like.
I'm your co-host Razi,
And I'm your co-host, Prankit.
and in this episode we will be discussing one of the white rappers who is very famously known as Eminem or Marshall Mathers, and this album has a big backstory behind it. Like there was an album before this called Relapse. This is Recovery, and released in 2010. Relapse was about 2009, I think 2008, and this whole album is just Eminem trying to push himself back into the music industry with after his whole like scene with drugs and since 8 Mile. And post that, it was like it got rough for him, but this is him coming back quite all balls out.
Yeah, I think he took like a 4 or 5 year hiatus after Encore.
Yeah,
If I'm remembering, Encore was like 2004 or something.
about 5 years.
And then, Relapse then came out in 2009, and then Recovery, right?
Yeah, and so this album was supposed to be named Relapse 2, but Eminem retitled the album Recovery after he found the music of the new album to be different from Relapse.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so speaking about Eminem, like I've been a big fan. Like especially this album, I just remembered all the songs 100%. Now it's about 60-70%. But yes, I remember downloading all discography when like torrents used to run at like 100 200 kbps, and I downloaded a 20-30 GB discography
Wow.
for days,
which is a lot back then.
Oh yeah. But how were you introduced to Eminem?
So I think in terms of like rap itself, I've never really listened to a lot of rap. There's like only like a couple of like rap artists that I would say like properly listened to. Eminem being one of them, and like Kendrick Lamar, I think, is another. But with Eminem, I think it's always been it's almost like retrospectively, now that I look back at listening Eminem, why was I listening to Eminem? I don't even think I was like listening to it and acknowledging like, oh yeah, this is rap music, this is how it's done. I just found his lyrics and some of the content, and even some of the skits in the earlier album just like sort of so engaging and different, that it really sort of drew me towards that music. And then I started listening more and more. But I would say probably this, in preparation for this video, is probably the first time I've really listened to an Eminem album back to back. Because I think previously I'd listened to like a lot of random songs from his albums, or like I think there was like a compilation like Curtain Call, or something similar. Yeah. That sort of came out in between the albums.
Greatest hits or something like that.
Yeah. But I've never actually like properly, sat down and like got into Eminem music. But there's a lot of songs that I would sort of just know the lyrics to even now, just because I've listened to them so many times. So I guess what I'm saying is like, whatever my take is on this album, it's quite separated from where the music industry might be with rap music, because I haven't listened to that much rap music. So it's not really putting it in context with other artists, but it's just how I guess I feel about his music, isolated from all of it. And I think one more thing to add is just on that note is, again, I'm really unfamiliar with all his like beefs and drama in the music industry. And, and I understand like a lot of the lyrics, even when I listened back then, probably flew over my head because I don't know, who is he taking shots at or what's going on. But I still appreciate his music. So.
But this album, well, Eminem in general has been quite as much. His life is very true to what 8 Mile shows us.
The
I
spirit
mean,
of
of
it.
course, there's like a lot of dramatic parts in 8 Mile, but nonetheless, like
Artistic
that's
license.
how. Well, that's how he had. That's how
Yeah.
his artistic license also came into being. Like that's how he has this unquestionable hate.
Mhm.
But while it isn't, like he's actually quite chill guy, as a
Yeah.
few people in interviews said. But I mean, even in this album, like he called in professionals, he called in mixers and DJs
Yeah.
and everyone, and they
Yeah.
came in together to produce a few songs. And I mean, besides that, obviously, Dr. Dre being the guy,
Yeah.
being the main guy,
Mhm.
and yeah, so this album features, as explained, is like the album features more introspective and emotional lyrics and themes
Mhm.
than on Relapse, talking about his drug addiction, anxiety, and emotional drives. And of course, there's he mixes all of this with a lot of current politics and
Yeah.
other people dissing
Relevant
him, he
topics
dissing
and yeah.
somebody,
Yeah.
and cheating and not cheating and whatever. Yeah.
Mm.
So Eminem had, like, I've got this one quote from Eminem for this album, which is, "I felt like it was over for me professionally." Eminem says, "I felt like I had a really bad case of writer's block. Music is so therapeutic for me that if I can't get it out, I start feeling bad about myself. A lot of self-loathing. I was in active addiction, and that's his sort of drive to
Yeah.
go for this album. And there's one note that I made, which is my.
Mhm.
I mean, I've heard this album before a lot of times, but like listening to it now, maybe going by how we've covered albums, like, or I don't know, there's no reasoning to it, but I just wrote that there's something about the album which isn't chill, like going with the theme by the given
Yeah.
name and pushing towards recovery. Like that's how the album is. Like it's not something that you can sit back and listen to.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just like, this is gonna happen. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna
Mhm.
make music,
Mhm.
stuff like that. And it's fine if you lie to me because I love the way you do it. Like stuff like
Mhm.
that coming in, and
Yeah. Yeah.
like towards the end, um, like the last song being Untitled
Mhm.
feels like that push is still ongoing
Yeah.
because it's so raw that it's untitled, right?
Yeah.
That
There's no conclusion to
I'm
that
still
push
on
as
it.
such, but it's
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
still on it.
Mhm. It's a
So
glimpse into that.
that's what I just felt. That was my first thought after I think the first
Yeah.
few listens of the album, and
Mhm.
I think I have seldom heard this over these days, but
Yeah.
because I mean I know the songs. Like if I hear them once, I know the songs. But
Mhm.
this was so much push that you have to be restless to listen to it. Like it's gonna 25 to Life. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a brilliant
Yeah.
song for that restlessness, and
Mhm.
you pacing around and you're just listening to
Yeah.
25 to Life and stuff like that. It's just
Yeah.
pushing.
Well, I feel like a lot of these songs are also very good, like workout songs as well. If you're in the gym,
Yeah.
because like you really, especially if you relate to some of the raw emotions and
Not afraid. Yeah.
sort of and a lot of the, I think to the point that you were saying, because Eminem always sort of puts on this sort of persona, whether it is Slim Shady or whether it's not, even when he's singing as like Marshall Mathers, it's always still this like, I don't want to say egomaniac, but it's this over the top character that's
Right.
super confident and
Yeah.
has a way about women and all of that. But I think in this album, like really listening to this album isolated from his other work and just, listening to it over and over again, there's a lot more sort of, I would say, raw emotion in some of
Mhm.
the songs than I had maybe previously given credit to. And what I mean by that is, even though his voice might sound the same, and he's still singing in that like angry, almost like
Yeah.
yelling into the mic manner.
Yeah.
He really does open up quite a bit about his insecurities and
Oh,
when
yeah.
you and as we go through it, there's like self-pity, there's loathing, there's regret, there's also like jealousy, and there's all these types of emotions that really come out that I hadn't previously, probably because I hadn't listened to this album in an isolated manner, I hadn't
Mhm.
picked out previously. So I thought that was quite a sort of unique sort of presentation by Eminem, sort of in that way, being that open and raw.
True. True. So, well, it's a long list to dive in. So,
Yeah, 17
yeah.
tracks, and this is not even the deluxe version.
Oh yes, this is not the deluxe version.
Yeah.
This is, I think, the first album version that came out,
Mhm.
and yeah. So let's go into it. The first
Let's
track
do it.
being "Cold Wind Blows." "Cold Wind Blows." That's Just Play's produced song. One like he's one of
That's
the artists that was brought on for this album.
It's an interesting track as well, like to start off with.
Yeah.
It sets the scene quite well for like, there is, I think, well, there's like, there was two things specifically, I think, or the themes you could call it, or thoughts from this track. And one was to do with the fact that he's back and why is he back? Or why is he even doing recovery? Like,
Yeah.
there's that line like, just why you came back again, you hate the fame, love the game, cold as ice, you remain. So, but the second part is that cold as ice part, that look, I'm back, but also I'm still me, like I'm still cold, right? I'm still going to write like this. I'm still going to be offensive. Like it's
And
not that,
in that,
it's not
talking about
apologetic.
Mariah as well as Michael J.
Yeah.
Fox and everyone.
Exactly. So it's not like apologetic that like, oh, I'm back, at least this track. It's just very much an announcement that,
Yeah.
look, I hate this industry. I hate all of this. I hate all of you, but I'm back.
It's mainly him being the MVP, and like that's what it is. Like, I'm the MVP here.
Yeah.
I'm back, and it's just, oh yeah, there's no way to better put it. It's an announcement. Like,
It's an announcement.
yeah, like, and there's around 3 minutes. Around 3 minutes, he like you hear this like bam and crash and everything, and that's him like, oh no, oh fuck, stop. It's like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
and then he says like, that was lightning that hit me, but I'm like, even after that, that's how he is. Like, I'm still going on. I'm still gonna do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. And I mean, you can take those two, because there's two of those sounds, and you could take it as his previous two album, Encore and Relapse.
yeah.
Considering he does talk about those two albums in the later tracks, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that he's still going. Like, Relapse is when he was like hit by lightning, the second one, and then he's back. And also, just for fun, I'd been counting all the superhero references. So the first one is Bruce Banner's In the Booth. And then 2 and 3 are when Aquaman drowns and the Human Torch starts swimming. So we got 3 references in there. I'll keep the counter up.
I've got this written down, this specific line: when Aquaman drowns and the Human Torch starts swimming, man, I'm a cool soul, I roll solo, so don't compare me to them other bums over there. It's
Yeah.
This is the whole song. This is, I mean, how the whole song is, that I am going to stand out as I have stood out, and watch out. And so many people who have taken a beef with Eminem is like, you watch out as well, naming them specifically. And so I noted down that the whole structure of this rap is like the next line leading to the next line. Yeah. In the way that he's speaking it, so it changes, like it adds a perspective to the previous line, while it creates a premise for the next line.
it sets it up like almost like a punchline,
Yeah,
but like it
but
keeps setting it up.
but
Yeah.
yes, that's going on like on a rolling
Yeah.
basis. Like,
Hmm.
and yeah, so it also majorly consists of him singing about his doomed love for his ex-wife and him setting score with rival celebs.
Hmm.
And I mean that's what rapping is. Yeah, so do you have anything to add to Cold Wind Blows? No.
No, I
No,
think
no,
that's
no,
about
no.
it. Yeah.
So yes,
Yeah.
so
Good opening track.
oh yes, it's an announcement.
Yeah.
This reminds me now that you mentioned his skits. Like previously, he had skits in Encore, I
Yeah.
think, or something, and
Yeah.
he had these
The
announcements
old
and
ones as
stuff as
well,
well.
Marshall
Yeah,
Mathers LP and stuff. Yeah.
he's got these announcement skits running where
PSA.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, the PSA. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
it gives me that sort of vibe without being a skit. It does give me that sort of vibe.
This is another public service announcement brought to you in part by Slim Shady. Slim Shady does not give a
Yeah.
I think this was organically put together, but maybe he was like pulling out the chunks that would from his previous good albums that would
Hmm.
help make this the road to recovery.
Hmm. Yeah. I think one other thing, and as we get through the tracks, I think it becomes more evident, specifically in one of the tracks.
Mhm.
But I think there's a little bit of that in here when like some of the references of when he's like talking about like his like women or his ex-lovers, like it almost sort of borders on like it's almost like he's talking about the industry or like the whole like culture, the rap culture and the industry that he's in. And I think as we go through the tracks, it becomes more evident. But I think it is an interesting writing technique where it there's something on the surface level which is to do what he's singing about, but there is sort of like a deeper parallel to what he's trying to compare. And I think as we go through it, I'll point out the places where I've seen it, and I think it starts to become more evident.
True. There's well as we go along. There's as we talk about Eminem's or rapping game being the MVP in the first track, we talk about
Hmm.
Eminem well talking to himself in the next. So the next track being talking to myself.
So why in the world do I feel so alone? Nobody but me. I'm on my own.
That was produced by DJ Khalil. Khalil, I don't know. Khalil, I guess. I don't know.
No idea how to
That's
pronounce it.
yeah. So he is the one who produced the song, and when I say produce the song, so basically they um, remix some bars from another song and put it together to on loop for the song.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
there are some songs that I've specifically got like other in those. I mean,
Samples.
from the song that they've taken the sample from. Like
Hmm.
I've got the names written down. However, in this one, it's Eminem just sort of dissing Lil Wayne and Kanye West, and it's like so as I've got like the Detroit MC explained to Spin magazine that in the summer of 2006, as he was battling with his drug addiction, he grew jealous
Hmm.
of Wayne, and
Hmm.
he says, "I thought, man, I can do that. Shit." I'm just guessing he said something like that. He ain't that dope, and I'm hearing this dude say some clever, witty shit, and I'm not doing
Hmm.
it. So I feel fucked up. And in the end, he opted not to release the unnamed diss track.
Hmm.
It would have been career suicide, Eminem said. They would have
Hmm.
fucking murdered me. Well,
Yeah.
he was basically writing that ballsy
Yeah.
stuff. which he
So I
didn't
think,
release.
so I think in this track, so it's the other way, right? He's not dissing them. I think he's because in this track he addresses that he almost went after them, and he almost dissed them.
I mean,
But then he stopped himself,
knowing
and
the story,
yeah,
because there was this beef that happened, like, and
yeah,
when he was battling out,
yeah.
as an Eminem was battling out, that's when this beef sort of happened. So he's mentioning that he was going to take a diss track out on these guys, but he did not.
Mhm.
I mean, that's him being generous, maybe.
Yeah, no, because like in this track he says, right, like, are you stupid? You're gonna start dissing people for no reason, especially when you can't even write a decent punchline, even. And he says like, I've turned into a hater, put up a false bravado, but Marshall is not an egomaniac. That's not his motto. So I think he sort of addresses it, right? That like he was in a mindset of like going after them, and but it was out of his own insecurities and jealousy, as opposed to like him legitly having like some sort of beef or some sort of issue with them. It was just that they were doing better than what he was doing. But I think because that's what he sort of says, like rather than going after them, he kind of realized, I just need to become better at what I'm doing rather than trying to attack them and take them down. So I kind of see this as like not an apology, but like well, there is sort of an apology, right? He says, anybody I thought at going at, it was never nothing personal, just some stuff I was going through, and to everybody else, I'm back. So it's almost like not an apology, I would say, but some sort of introspection and almost like self-therapy of like, instead of feeling sorry for yourself, like do something about it. Admit, like there's a line, right? Admit you got a problem, your brain is clouded.
I don't remember the
Yeah.
specific line, but the beginning of the song, like it, to what you said, yes, it is a diss track, but it's like like an angled diss track. So
I mean, I feel like if he's like dissing himself, if anything, like in this track.
I mean, that's
right,
what
he's
that's
sort
what
of
B Rabbit does, right?
yeah, exactly.
That's
he sort of really just
his style, yeah.
It is funny because I think some of the later tracks he does sort of diss on some of the other artists, but I think in this specific track, I'd say it's more about him acknowledging his own problems and sort of, and talking to himself, like that self therapy, introspection, or like why you want to go after these guys.
That as well, like the how the song begins is
like the last two albums didn't count or something. He says like in the intro, right?
No, in the intro he sings it, right? Like, why, like, is anybody, can anybody hear me? I feel like I'm talking to myself. I'm
oh, you mean
like
the chorus? Yeah.
How the song starts. Yes, and that beat follows on, but it's starting like it felt like someone actually feeling this feeling of dementia, where, or maybe something along those lines, where you're like, why isn't anybody feeling this? Like, is anybody out there? I feel like I'm talking to myself. Like, am I the only one saying this kind of thing?
Yeah, like going through it alone, sort of feel that feeling of going through.
So I guess, yeah. So that feeling of being alone is quite well put across. Yeah, but it's again a song to him, how sort of guiding himself in how he should be writing songs and what he should be doing, right?
Like acknowledging your own shortcomings, sort of, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I need to do better. And I kind of like it because one of the main points I've written is like, I feel like this is like almost like a new introduction to himself, in the sense of like, he's, because the first one was an announcement, like the first track, Cold Wind Blows, but I think this is more sort of in depth. It more sort of looks into what happened the past few years. Where has he been?
Mhm.
Why is he coming back now? That sort of the why of it all. And yeah, I think one thing I was referring to as well, right at the beginning in the intro, he's like, I just want to thank everybody for being so patient and bearing with me over the last couple of years while I
Yeah.
figured this shit out. And then what you said, is anybody out there? So I think it's that's what it is. It's just like saying, look, thanks for bearing with me all these years. If you're still here, and did some stuff or started going in a direction that he didn't want to go in, and this is sort of like reintroducing the new him.
I guess that's what he means when he says it could have, like, in the Spin magazine article. He
Mhm.
says that it would have been career suicide. So that
Yeah,
makes sense that way. That after Relapse and after
yeah.
his whole
He was at like
5 years
a low
away
point.
from music.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
And going
Um,
after like a really popular artist at your low point, and
yeah,
when you're not even able to write that well,
yeah.
is I think probably a good thing he stopped himself.
At that point, yeah. I mean, now he
Yeah,
can do whatever he
yeah,
wants to.
yeah.
But yes, but he's very attached to Detroit, and there's a lot of
Mhm.
there are a few songs. I think one. We are not afraid. We'll get to it. Where
Yeah.
there's a Detroit story attached to it and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yeah, I know. Because I remember there was he did like, I watched this like short video interview or some sort of video where he talks about like the album Recovery and him going through a recovery, but then
Mhm.
also Detroit as a
Mhm.
place. Sort of,
Yeah,
it had seen it's like worse, and it was sort
yeah,
of
exactly.
about having that. So I think
Both of
it is
them
very
pushing
intertwined.
through together, kind of,
Yeah,
and him
yeah,
supporting Detroit since whenever,
yeah.
for whatever.
So yeah, and I think one other thing I appreciate in this album in general, and I think this track is an example of it,
Mhm.
is as I was saying in the beginning, like you sort of, when you think of Eminem, or when I think of Eminem, it's generally like it's like a rap god, like can't have a fault, or is always like no one can really attack him or pull him down.
Mhm.
He's always got his defenses and all of that. But I think he's opening up in this album and in this track, and I think there's almost an insight into like when he goes after people, or he's dissing someone, and there's a lot of beef in the music industry, and I think especially in like in the rap scene, or there
Mhm.
was at that point in time. What I appreciate is like he sort of acknowledges it, that even if you're doing a diss track, or whatever he's doing, it has to be for the right reason. It shouldn't be for the wrong reason. He shouldn't be attacking people like out of being jealous or insecure. um
Yeah.
if there's a different reason he wants to go after someone, that's fine for him. Like
Mhm.
it's good
Yeah.
to know that he himself has it sounds weird, but has some sort of rules of engagement, right? Of like when it's not that he's just writing songs about random people and just attacking random people. So it makes you think that when he goes after someone, there's something behind it, or
Yeah.
unless it's just
Yeah.
a joke and it's for a punchline. If
Mhm.
it's an actual like dedicated track, or if it's a recurring theme, because some of it
Yeah.
is a joke. Because I know he makes a lot of fun of Elton John, and Elton John was like his mentor when he was going through all of this drug rehab. Like I
Mhm.
think he used to call him like every week or something, and Elton John used to make sure that like Eminem's doing okay. But he makes a lot of fun, and that's not a diss. That's just him having fun. So there
The
is a
same with Dr.
distinction
Dre.
there.
Dr. Dre is
Yeah,
locked up
Dr.
in my
Dre locked
basement.
up in his basement. But yeah, kind of went off on a tangent there. But that's what I really appreciate about this album. You get to see a bit more of his inner workings, as opposed to the other tracks where he's just 100% foolproof, aka rap god.
Yeah, not in this album, not yet, but yes, getting there,
Mhm.
all the way to
Mhm.
Recovery.
Yeah.
So yes, all the way to Recovery. Then we've got On the Way to Recovery. We've got On Fire.
You know, critics, man, critics never got nothing nice to say, man.
So in On Fire, Eminem just sets up the stage, and just goes in this conversation with this with his critics who don't ask him
How
how
is
his day
David?
was. So he's like, well, I'm gonna tell it. Yesterday my dog died, and this whole scene of that he's setting up of sort of clearly mocking the critics and what's been said about him, what's being said about him. So like whatever is being said, I'm on fire. Like that's what
Yeah, I do really like that hook. I mean, a lot of Eminem songs, like the hook or the
Oh,
chorus
yeah.
is really good, and this is one of them as well, where it's like it comes on. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah.
But yeah, this it basically what the critics were doing is pissing off the Wizard of Oz, right? And like he yes, had a different rap style to this one. Like
Mhm.
the early songs were catchy liners. This is like longer liners. Like he's saying one whole um
It's not
event.
punchline after punchline directly,
Yeah,
but
it's the whole event in one line.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe a comma or two, but like that's it. And it kind of like excerpts. Yes, I've written that down. It's kind of like excerpts of an
Hmm.
event. Yeah, something like, for example, so most of his verses are like, I just wrote a bullshit hook in between two long ass verses. Even
Yeah,
though,
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have that punch to it, but it explains what happened.
Well, I think it's well, one of the things I've written. The first thing I written is like, what is this song? In the sense of like, there's quite a lot that happens like lyrically if you try and follow. There's a bit about critics.
Yeah.
There's the hook is just saying that basically he's on fire, like he can't you can't take him down basically. But then some of the lyrics talk about other stuff, and then you randomly have that hook in between where it's like I'm on fire, and it is if you mistook this for a song, this ain't a song. It's a warning to Brooke Hogan and David Cook. And I Google, and I think Brooke Hogan is like a media personality. I don't know what the beef is again, but there's like a lot happening in the song, and I almost feel like it's just like a track he's put out for fans rather than like to appeal to, like, I would say, the mainstream. Like some of his other tracks, as we'll get into, are much more, you could say, almost mainstream.
Yeah.
But this is very much like isolated from all of that. But I don't. Yeah, there's a whole like murder
I think
fantasy
this
in there, and
this is for like targeted. Probably this is targeted for the people who know he's on fire.
yeah, and I
Right.
feel like there's 100% some like inside jokes in there that
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not privy to.
I
Right.
mean, there's a lot of I do miss out on a lot of those American humor one-liners and stuff.
Mm.
But
And
yeah,
there's hot-headed as Ghost Rider, number 4. Cold-hearted as Spider-Man throwing a spider in the snow, number 5. And then there's Iron Man, number 6.
okay. So we've got to count
Yeah, so that's about it from my side.
that. So talking about mainstream tracks, the next one being one of the first mainstream tracks of this album, Won't Back Down.
No cum stain, bitch, you listening? Trying to turn me down, slut, I'm talking to you. Turn me back up, are you insane? Trying to talk over me?
So this DJ Khalil, correct me if I'm wrong, please.
Like
Produced
butchering it, the poor guy's name. Yeah.
just the second time. Never mind. So this
Talk about a diss track. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So this is produced by him, and it features the pop singer Pink, who Trunkit is a big fan of.
Hey.
And yeah, so this is a little bit of the story is Eminem told Skyrock's radio in Paris that about this collaboration, and when I did the song that I did with Pink, I laid my parts first and kind of heard her on record and felt that
Mhm.
she would smash this record. And yeah, I mean, it it just kind of tunes in with what he's trying to do, and even especially in those parts like bitch, you're trying to turn me down, turn me back up, are you insane,
Yeah.
are you listening?
Yeah, that when the volume goes down and come,
Oh,
I always
yeah.
appreciate it when he gets like meta with the track. And you talk over me. It's just it works so well at that point in the track.
And the way he's saying it, like and what follows, like turn me back up, are you insane?
Yeah, and I really relate to it because like sometimes you're driving in the car or you play on a track you really want to listen to, but
Yeah.
someone else turns it down to say something. It's like I'm trying to list like let the track finish, then say your thing. Like what's so important,
True.
right?
True.
Yeah,
And that's, I mean, this whole the song basically is like a
yeah.
push, another push towards recovery. Like
Mhm.
while the previous songs were kind of placing him wherever he's choosing to be placed at, and
Yeah,
this is sort of like, that I won't back down, like going by the theme of it. It's like
yeah,
um the album is recovery, and this is his point where he is not going to give up. And there are, I think, superhero references in this. Yes, can we count
yeah.
them down,
So
please?
Bruce, yeah. So technically one. It's I gave Bruce Wayne a Valium,
Uh-huh.
so 7. But he does say "calm Batman" like this next line. But I think I
Mhm.
would make it this part of the same reference. So our 7th superhero reference.
But I don't think he has any, or like there are more songs that he's done with such references, but he doesn't relate to it like it can be like Peter Parker changing clothes into Superman or something like that. Like
Hmm.
that's not how he's flown into it. It was just, I mean, I'm ready for combat, man. Get it, combat, man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's
But yes,
it's a fun one.
that wordplay has got me
Yeah.
uh, really,
Hmm.
like, I've liked this song because of these tidbit wordplays of that the volume going
Yeah.
down, volume going back up, and
Well, there's another
his
sort of I
reaction to
think
it.
interesting aspect. Yeah, I mean to that the musical, part of it, like the rhythm, the beat of the song,
Mhm.
is not like your standard like 4x4, which most of his
Yeah.
rap songs generally are. I think this is like 6x8 or something, like the 1 2 3 1 2 3. So it definitely gives it a very different feel to like the other songs in the album, and I think in terms of setting it apart, I know it's been sort of received as like a rock rap or rap rock type song. It does set
Mhm.
it apart with that beat a little bit, and the distortion in the background. There's like constant electric guitar distortion being played in the background with Pink.
It's good
So
danceable too.
yeah, musically, I think it's quite unique from the other tracks on
Nah,
this
I've
album.
danced on this song. So.
Hey.
But yes, this
Mhm.
song sort of like that's what I danced on this like
Yeah,
about a decade back. But yes, this song sort of does, has this hook to it, and again, Pink has a part to play in that, I would say.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
what she you can sound the alarm, you can call out the guards,
yeah,
but I won't back down.
yeah,
Like I'm sort of
yeah. Her
running out
voice
of
has
this
this
cage kind of
uniqueness it
thing. Yeah.
brings to this. Yeah.
And that there's like a fluctuation, I don't know, a tonal shift or something in her voice
Hmm.
when I think this has been post produced obviously, but like there's that part
And
that adds to
I
it.
mean, her voice always has like that, almost like I don't want to say like a husky type sound to it,
Mm-hmm.
which gives it even more of that like rock feel, right? A raspy voice, I'd say.
uh, like it
Yeah,
her singing style matches with the beat so much. Like By singing style, I mean not her singing, but like her the voice that she's taking out with that. The and I don't know. I mean, I like it also because of
Yeah.
Pink is what I'm saying.
It's interesting as well because I think all the people who sort of, there's like a getting into the drama of it, but all the people who sort of dismissed Eminem to be sort of sexist or all of that, and then having Pink sort of sing the hook to the song,
Oh,
must be a little bit like.
Very interesting. That
Yeah.
could have been
Yeah.
could have been the play as well. Like that's what he
Yeah.
would have
Or is
maybe
this
thought.
almost you want to say that's him showing off? Like, look,
Yeah, I mean, I'm
because
open to this.
like I
Yeah, I'm
said,
open to that.
his lyric, it's always surface level. A lot of those criticisms, and we'll get into some of the other tracks more into that. But I think a lot of this criticism about violence and all of that is very much you're just listening to the song on the surface level. But I think there's so much more to it, and this whole acting, you could call it persona. It's it's not validating anything. It's just he is what it is. Like he said in the previous one, like, why is the wind cold?
True.
Yeah.
And I think that's what like this is is again like pushing forward to recovery and pushing forward to recovery in I don't know, I guess he takes a break in between the album with the next song being W.T.P. It's a white trash party.
Here we come, and we ain't stopping until we see the morning sun.
As it goes, like it's a party in between his recovery, maybe. But yes, there's I mean the way he puts it along and the way he's sort of trying to, I think, engage everyone to, get on board and it's gonna be a white trash party.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think. Yeah, I mean, it goes. There's a lot. The first few tracks are sort of heavier. Maybe perhaps On Fire, you could say, was like lighter, and then Won't Back Down again was a bit heavier in terms of introspection and that sort of stuff. And then I think WTP is again, it's like lighter, simpler, more sort of fun, lighter in tone.
More fun, yeah.
And I think the lyrics as well, like they have, I've written this one line down because I know when I heard it, it just caught my attention. I'll rip a tree out the ground and flip it upside down before I turn over a new leaf, clown. It's just so absurd, but I know, but you understand immediately what he's saying. It's like, look, if you want me to change, I'm not going to change. Like, as in, this is me. I'm Eminem, right? This is what I do. But at the same time, he's inviting you over to have a good time and enjoy him in this ride.
I mean, that's what like in he has this one other line which is like in the streets of Warren, Michigan, and we chill and tramp stamps. We chill with them tramp stamps. That means she belongs to me. Time to put
clamps
the damn
or something,
clamps.
right?
Yeah, put the damn clamps. And like the structure of the songs, like of the lyrics, is mostly like at the end of each verse of that set, it's like come on or let's dance or party or get up, let's go. That kind of ambience that he's setting up. Like all of this, this is me. This is what is happening. This is what could happen. And like now let's just get up and party. And it's a white trash party. Like I really dig the tone, the tune for this. Like the whole hook and the tune, and
it is very much like a party song.
Yeah, it is a party song.
Yeah. You just want to get up and dance.
Yeah, that's true. It's you can groove to the whole song. Yeah, and the beat just carries on, and while he's also singing about having a party as well.
Yeah,
but I never like got to know if there's any backstory or anything to this. But
As in like something deeper. Yeah, I mean, I very much take it as like this is him. You know, there's a lot of introspection in the other tracks.
Yeah.
In the beginning, and then this is like him taking a break from all of that introspection and just doing what he does, which is like having fun, some fun lyrics, right? Put together. It's just Eminem being Eminem.
Eminem being Eminem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And talking about like taking a break, maybe he takes a break. That's how we see the changes after the break, right? And that also goes. That I say like even though the content of the songs might be different, but the theme that it follows on a larger scale, like it just matches the whole recovery album. And yes, so him changing through a break, it's like the next song being going through changes.
I really feel like I'm rolling for kelp like Philly. Feel like I'm losing control of myself. I sincerely apologize.
Going through changes is like Eminem's version of Black Sabbath's 1972 track Changes, which is basically Ozzy Osbourne's writing on the separation of a father and daughter. And yeah, this is just a version of Eminem where he's describing all that has happened to him that is now caused a lot of what we see, I
Yeah.
guess.
It's almost like White Trash Party was like a sort of like a musical interlude before we like dive back into the deep stuff, right?
yeah.
Like a light-hearted break in the middle. And then now back to some self-reflection,
Yeah.
introspection, less of that egomania.
I mean, like putting across something, all that happened with him, with his, I mean, his best friend dying, basically, is a big deal. But it's, I mean, how that has pulled him through and how he's still going across. I mean, he's pulling it through. So that's also kind of daring for, like, I guess in the rapper zone, right? Like it would be, that I can say it. I mean, that's how I'm productive. Like I'm moving forward with it.
And it's,
right? Like,
and
I'm guessing.
yeah,
I'm
and
guessing
so
it
much
was,
happened as well in his life over that past like 5-6 years at that time. As you said, with Proof dying, and then his addiction, and then I think he was briefly back together with Kim for like a short while before splitting up. Yeah,
he was involved. Yeah, I mean, he
and
got
it does sort
involved
of
again.
right, and again that father-daughter dynamic. I mean, he references his daughters, Haley, I think Whitney and Elena, and it's sort of it's almost an sort of acceptance that it didn't work out with their mom, but he will always love them, and sort of moving on from that, I guess. But a very interesting introspective song.
I mean, it's just like his process of grieving for, I mean, D12 and his addiction, and however he came across with these sort of experiences in life is how he. I mean,
and he almost like ODing. Yeah, I mean, it's and I always love it when he finds a way to make the songs a bit meta, or there's a little bit of like special effects, you could call it. And in this track at like the 3-minute 10-second mark, you can sort of hear the heartbeat and then like a voice saying "daddy" and a machine beeping. So it's just that the theatricality of it is still there as Eminem. And I really love how they've sampled changes in this as well. It's so well adapted, like in how he raps with it. It's just.
I mean, it's right in the tune. I mean,
it's like he almost wrote it listening to that song.
Like it probably.
I don't know if he did, but it does feel like it.
I guess. I mean, that's how he writes, right? I mean, it's just if it's a 3-minute song, he wrote for 3 minutes, is what he said.
Yeah.
So anyway, like jumping from going through changes into Not Afraid.
I just can't keep living this way. So starting today.
I mean, I guess this is my favorite. I mean, favorite pullout of this album, or yeah, one of the favorite.
It's
pullouts.
definitely one of the stars of the album,
Oh yeah.
as you could say.
I mean, it's got
Right.
that. It's
Yeah.
got the spirit of which it speaks of.
Mhm.
And it speaks of like in a personal way, in the sense that he speaks of his experiences, but he speaks of it in a general tone where, you know, everyone's feeling that pump up. Like, I'm not afraid. I'm too busy. What? I shoot for the moon, too busy gazing the stars. So like,
Yeah.
there's like, you know, you just feel this push of pump up or pep up. Yeah.
It's the music almost has like I've written like a hero feeling to it, especially the hook, and then like
Yeah.
the chord progression as well is like very uplifting. It's sort of like, you know, rising out of the ashes or walking away from an explosion without looking at it. It's got that sort of quality.
Yeah, that cool factor. It's also
Yeah,
got the
that
cool
cool
factor. Yeah.
But I mean, the song, you know, it really is just about, I guess, lifting oneself back up.
Yeah. So I think Not Afraid is like one of the positive songs to come across.
Yeah.
I mean, all have
It's
been
like he's-
positive in the sense of pushing
Yeah.
to the right path, but in its tone of, I mean, it's not talking about any bitches or anyone fucking him over or anything. I mean, it's just a straightforward him pushing through, and I mean, in turn has also helped so many others push through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's interesting because, you know, I said like White Trash Party was like a little musical interlude, but this one really feels like after, you know, like talking to myself and going through changes, it's like really him getting his confidence back, or like
Oh yeah.
coming out of depression, sort of, right?
Yeah. That's
On
true.
the other end. Like, this is, I guess, how you feel after therapy.
So Eminem,
'Cause-
I got this from a magazine. It's basically Paul Rosenberg was the producer. So
Yeah.
Eminem recalled, like, when I played him Not Afraid for the first time, he wasn't too fond of it. Then we had a conversation a few days later, and he was like, "Do you think it needs a bridge?" And I was like, "I knew you were gonna say that." And then we've got the bridge of Not Afraid. that hook that we catch on instantly the song starts.
And there's, I mean, that's what really it's sort of the hook, I think. Firstly, like most Eminem songs, like I keep mentioning it in the previous tracks as well, just the hook is always amazing. And particularly in this song as well, it very much gives it the grounding the song needs. And it's almost like the rap is around it. It's
That's
and
true.
again, you know, he does mention the Relapse CD, and yeah, so you know, there is again addressing the previous works, and that he's sort of moving forward from it.
Oh yeah.
But there is a lot of like existential crisis, I would say. I mean, in this album in general, but also again in this track, right?
How would you say existential crisis? I mean, it's him basically trying to discuss how he's finding or has found power, which no one can, you know, make him back
there's
down now.
Yeah, I think there's an element of figuring out like why you're put on this earth and what it is that he wants, and that existential part comes through in this track in different ways. But I think it's very much there, and it's got some really nice lines as well. Like, and all those who look down on me, I'm tearing down your balcony. I don't know. It's just it's got some nicely written lines.
No buts.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway. But yeah, this song. So the music video for this song is also one of my
Yeah.
favorite music videos of at least that
Trying to
time.
remember what the music video is to this.
Is it's actually like Eminem kind of being like a superhero, like on building top, and like there's scenes of him jumping, flying, trying to fly, I think,
Maybe I haven't
And-
seen it then. Yeah.
of that music video. And so basically, that's basically how Eminem is stuck
Yeah.
in Detroit in this glass house, and he can't do anything about it. But that's where he's getting the strength to not be afraid anymore.
Yeah.
Like
That's
there's
pretty-
a
yeah,
lot
that's
of
pretty cool, yeah.
I mean there's like a lot of layered meaning behind that, at least that shot. But yeah, so even I think if you haven't seen it, you probably have seen it, but just don't.
Maybe it must have been a
just
while
don't-
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
But it's and I think again in the song, I think it's towards the end, but he sort of he sort of comes full circle again, and again it's sort of him saying that from now on, his priorities are his daughters, because he talks about like focusing on handling his responsibilities as a father, and all of that, and so again there's like, he's not holding himself back from that, because whereas before maybe whatever was going on with Kim and all the other things was sort of getting in the way of him really sort of focusing on his daughters. And I think coming from going through changes, that again, I go to that existentialism of like, why are you here? Are you just here to rap? Are you just an artist? And I think he's sort of saying he's a father first,
Yeah,
and then the other things.
and that's also part of how he has the strength that nobody can break.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we get to Seduction.
I guess it's kind of like I feel like I'm morphing.
So Seduction has this, I mean, it kind of contains this, not a romantic, but like a sexy vibe to it, right? Like it's jazzy probably. Like it's that little
music
bit of jazz.
is-
Yeah. In the
It's like
hook,
very
basically,
laid back
it's-
with the
yeah.
touch of the piano. I know what you mean.
And yeah, so that obviously goes with the concept of seduction and the way I mean Eminem says seduction,
Yeah.
seduce. So this track is like Slim Shady turning on Don Juan as he brags about someone else's girlfriend fantasizing about sleeping with him, and
Yeah.
like that's what a lot of cases have been with Eminem, I guess. There've
Well,
been a lot
it's
of
interesting because
Yeah.
there's definitely an element of like you could say like showing off, or like like showing off to how you're good. But what I find very interesting, like the lyrics are quite aggressive in that sense, but it's one of those tracks that, again, I feel like the whole concept of this track about the woman is less about the woman, and it's almost more about like fame or success, or you could call it like fans. And the reason I say it's because even though a lot of the lyrics on surface level are written by about someone's girl, the focus seems much more on like basically my music and talent is better than yours. Because I mean, from the
Yeah.
intro, he's like, "We're a lot different. I'm on a whole different page right now than you," and he keeps saying stuff like, "You want to throw out your whole album," or "She's got like 6 CD changer and all of the slots are mine." So that's like there's a lot of references
part
to
is
like
such a burn, like
on so many levels, you could say. But it's one of those things where he's bragging about it, you could say. But he's almost bragging about like how good he is, and how good he is at, specifically, I'd say, at rapping.
yeah, but in this whole kind of fantasy
Yeah.
which I guess
Yeah, exactly.
this
He does
was
say
the case at the time.
like a verbal seduction, right?
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. He sings so well. His
And
lyrics
the
are so
hook
good.
also is very different from the previous hooks, because
Yeah.
this is, I mean, it's completely made up, but it's also got that, I mean, it's got that rhythm to it. While Not Afraid was more of a R&B, this had
Yeah.
a flow in the hook to it. But yeah, this
I really love that piano in the background. Yeah, it
I guess,
does.
yeah, it's stuff like that which makes it, or I mean, stand out in the sexy way. Like,
Yeah,
even
it's got a
though
different
it's got,
vibe to it.
oh yeah, and
Yeah.
and it's a rap, but it's
Yeah.
seduction.
And he does this quite often, but it's again, this is one of the tracks where I really really notice it. And it's when he switches the lyrics up, like 2:20 onwards, 2 minute 20 second onwards. He even, I think, says, I'm switching it up. Like the lines have additional syllables, so he's like almost rapping faster. And then as the song goes on, it just becomes faster and faster, not because the tempo is increasing, but he keeps packing more and more syllables into the same length of a sentence. Like it happens at the 3 minute 20 second mark as well. And he does it so well in this track, because the track is laid back. You can't get too aggressive and fast with the lyrics. Otherwise, you'd lose that laid back vibe the music has and the piano has. But he does it in such a subtle manner, and it works so well here.
That's true. And so, I mean, not surprisingly, after Seduction, you go to No Love. I think No Love is the most heard song that I've or is the most heard song that I have experienced from people who are not Eminem fans.
Oh.
Like in a party,
As in, like, they've heard,
or like just to chill, even, or just in the car maybe. Like I've heard No Love more than even Not Afraid. I mean, Not Afraid, yes, people have heard, but I'm just saying in terms of their vibe, I've seen like No Love being a more liked song, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah.
I guess
I don't know. I haven't noticed that, but it might be true. Yeah.
Like that might be because people might be fan of Lil Wayne in that way. I mean, it could be.
That is true, because it's a collaboration. So and I mean, I think from my experience, I would almost say like Love the Way You Lie. Probably I've heard quite a lot, like people casually listening to because of Rihanna.
Yeah.
But this is probably up there as well.
And also it's a topic of love, so it's kind of catchy.
And again, man, they sample that the Hadaway song so well. It's so well done. And I was reading about it. I can't remember exactly the details, but it was one of them, or I don't know if it was like Lil Wayne or Eminem, like one of them came up with the idea.
Is the sample, right? What is love?
Yeah. And so one of them came up with the idea to sort of sample, so have that song in the background, basically sample it in this track. And I think it was Eminem initially. He said, I don't know, but then they tried it and it worked out really well. I might have it the other way around, but it wasn't, I guess what I'm trying to say, it wasn't originally like decided from the get-go that this is what the song is going to be. And then I guess it adapted as they worked together.
I mean, they worked on Forever before this, the single. And then post that, this is the first song that they've done together on the same rhyme. While Forever is basically each rapper has his own section, and they have their own rap. But this is in one rhyme, like it's the first time that the duo comes together. But it's this song which I mean, it's this song as well as Forever where Eminem has the same break-in moment as he does in Forever, and as he has No Love as well. I mean, he has that the whole. I mean, I'm not comparing. I'm just saying like the whole tempo changes of the song.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's you're just boosting into this new lines which he's now saying.
Yeah. Well, there is, and then there's also like in the previous track I was mentioning that syllables being packed in the line, right? That speeding up of it, and it's in this one again. If you compare like 2 minute 45 second mark to like 2 minute 50 second to 3 minute markish, like around that, and then again like the 3 minute 15 second mark, the 3 minute 30 second mark. It's like every 5 to 15 seconds, it's like he does that word vomit. And again, speeding things up, changing it up a little bit.
Yeah. And I've got
Yeah.
this quote from Eminem from the Billboard magazine for this song.
Yeah.
Is that I did a song with Wayne called "Drop the World" for his album, and we had just agreed to do an even swap. So I wanted him on my album. I kind of waited, and when Just Blaze, who's the producer for this song,
Yeah.
had finished that beat, and I mean, they both were like waiting to get on the song together. So this was like kind of planned out from the
Yeah.
time Lil Wayne's
collaboration was in the
Drop
making.
The World came out. Yeah. So
Yeah. Well, it is, and you know, Lil Wayne's voice does complement Eminem's quite nicely in this track. The way they make it work is because they're singing. Rapping style is, I would say, very different, but it does complement. They do complement each other quite well. And the song,
that's true.
you know, yeah.
I mean,
and again, the song,
the way like they kind of overlay their tempo over each other. It's like
yeah,
that's very smooth in the song.
Yeah.
While I mean it's basically about the rap industry and how it did not change, and while Eminem was on a break, like that's how it goes. And yeah, but now he's like back with it, but he's
Yeah.
got no love.
yeah,
And yeah, it's again like this is also like coming down to the bigger picture. It's a again that recovery path going down from Not
Yeah.
Afraid, even Seduction, and
yeah.
going through changes.
There's,
And
I think,
no
yeah,
love.
there's an element, I think, in this song of like being hurt by someone or something external, and then
Yeah.
just coming back from it, which is his recovery, you could say,
Yeah,
right?
true. So then we've got it. This was, I mean, a very liked music video, the Space Bound.
You must be a sorceress, cause you just did the impossible. Gain my trust. Don't play games, it'll be dangerous.
The song features an interpolation of Drive by REM. And it's like, I mean, it was basic like about the production of the song. So the chorus was already set by Johnson. So the chorus of the song is like based off of a guy who's chasing after a woman that he's crazy about, and that's the theme, that he loves her, she's everything to him, and that's what, like, I'm a rocket ship aiming at her heart's the moon, and that's what got Eminem to write everything else. I mean, it's just the chorus which was given to him, and he was like, yeah, and we've got
He wrote the song around it.
and
I mean,
we've
it's
got, like,
it does.
love spell it backwards.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Yeah, Exactly. And again, I keep saying this, but Eminem songs have some of the best hooks and choruses, and this is another shining example of that,
Yeah,
because that, you know, the guitaring, the vocal, it just gives it such a refreshing sound, and
yeah,
again sets it apart so much, right?
true. I mean, I think this was, it's like a very, I don't know, indie kind of song, right? Like it has that story arc of that indie
Hmm.
vibe of this guy chasing a girl and who's just, I mean, going by the music video
Yeah,
as well. It's and the whole song actually just kind of dissing love while, you know, also saying that it's you are the moon or your heart's
yeah,
the
it's a
moon.
yearning.
So it's
It's
like,
I'd say, yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's like a dilemma between the two, right? I mean, he doesn't love her because love is evil, evil. Why, um, like I'm a spacebound rocket ship.
yeah. I'd say it's like the closest almost you'd get to like a love song on an Eminem album
Oh yeah.
sometimes, because it's there is an element of that, right? And the
Hmm.
chorus, but I think it's always all very tragic with Eminem. Like, you know, it always turns sour, and you know, he sort of says it right, till we get that person we think is going to be that one, then once we get them, it's never the
Not the
same.
same.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
want them when they
When
don't
they
want
don't want
you.
you,
Soon as
soon
they
as they
do,
do,
feelings
feelings
change.
change.
Yeah. So it's like it just sounds like he's had one bad experience after another, poor guy. And like, this is like the closest he can write to a love song, but even in a love song he has to say love is evil, spell it backwards. Right? So it's
Yeah, I mean,
it,
I guess tragedy is what is why Eminem is Eminem, and
yeah,
that
you could
and
say
that
that.
like one after the other. Yeah, but
And it does have some really good writing in it as well. Like I've written down this line, it's not a contest and I ain't no
no contest,
conquest
conquest
for
for
no
no
mate.
mate.
Yeah, I wasn't looking, but I stumbled onto you. Must have
Must
been
have been
fate.
fate. So
But
much is
it's
at
like,
stake.
yeah.
What the fuck does it take? I mean, it just the way
Mm,
the part that you're mentioning it, the way it sort of unravels into this, while it's not a conquest, but it, I mean, the next to next to next line just kind of unravels into more of a conquest, or like, reaching out, like pushing through.
yeah.
Um, so I mean, it comes down to what the fuck does it take? Let's cut to the
Yeah.
chase.
Yeah.
Promise me if I cave in and break, I won't be making a mistake. And the chorus. But yeah, this. I
Welcome
mean,
to
it's a.
Eminem song reading. Yeah.
Yeah, please join
Spoken
at
word.
$1. Spacebound, clearly one of the highlights, or the highlight for both of us.
Hmm.
We've got, after that, Cinderella Man.
He's in your ass, he's all up in your psyche too. Now, what's his name?
So this song was written by Script Shepherd, who supplied the beat for this track. Well, not written. He just supplied the beat for this track, and he also sung the chorus. And the title of the song is from the Russell Crowe movie 2005 called Cinderella Man. But it's not inspired by the movie. That's also been made clear. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
inspired by the movie, but it was. I mean, that's where the name was taken from, and it's so Shepard explained that I liked the film, but at the time I was going through a hard time. My brother had
Mm,
just passed away, so and yeah, so that's what made him write the chorus, and the rest is Eminem on his Eminem roll.
Yeah. Well, that also makes it sound. I mean, it gives some context. You know, there's that line like, "If I had a time machine," and then it's like, "Music is my time machine." But you, when you mention like, you know, his brother passing away and all of that, it's like maybe that might be referring to that sort of element of it, right? Like,
Yeah, I
music is
mean,
something you can always remember someone by.
I mean, the references Eminem makes,
Yeah.
but otherwise, like the song is a very, you know, a stadium anthem beat,
Yeah, very
right?
sort of festive. Yeah.
But one of those game, you know, the beginnings or something like that. But like, it's got that full
Yeah.
stadium cheering for that Cinderella Man.
She's like performing like a half, you know, Super Bowl halftime or something.
Yeah, and yeah,
Because I
Cinderella
know
Man.
that, yeah, because I think Cinderella Man. So I had to Google the term because I was like, what does it actually mean? And it's sort of used as a slang as well for like someone who gets a second chance and succeeds with it. And it's like Cinderella getting a second chance at
Yeah.
life and succeeding, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then there's also like a heavyweight boxing champion who James J. Braddock, who had earned the nickname Cinderella Man. So that a little bit pointing again towards that second chances, and it also then goes into that theme of recovery.
Yeah.
And especially in his case, after like, you know, he references Relapse, and coming back with this album. It does sort of make a lot of sense. So then, you know, second chance after almost ODing, second chance at his family. There's a lot of parallels, I'd say, to the term
A
Cinderella
second
Man.
chance, I guess. I mean, like,
Yeah,
all in all.
yeah.
Great.
But still, I'd say a slightly lighter in tone song compared to some of the other songs in the album.
So the line you mentioned, where the hook says, so I've got a quote from Shepard who says, about the line, "If I had a time machine, I'd be a Cinderella
Yeah.
Man." So it's what he says is basically, it's like music can allow you to do all types of things. You can change the world with music. You can go back and enlighten and move people forward just with sounds and connection. Music
Yeah.
is the time machine. So I guess music was a time machine for him to kind of, I think, relieve his grief,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So, and that's how it helped, and that's also how I mean, the song kind of makes sense.
Yeah. True.
It's basically two of them wrote the song, and both of them had their own tragedies.
Yeah, they had to come together. But I really love this song, especially the chorus is just so just easy to sing along with. But it's catchy, it sticks in your head.
So Cinderella Man is about second chances, and even though you get second chances, you are 25 to life, which is the next track.
But a special place for you in my heart I've kept. It's unfortunate, but it's
So the song 25 to Life was produced by DJ Khalil and features the vocals of Liz Rodriguez, and who's a member of the producers group, which is DJ Khalil. And yeah, so this also appears in Almost Famous. In the,
You mean Liz Rodriguez also sings in Almost Famous?
I think so, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I know so because I I had to check after. Well, we'll get to Almost Famous.
When we
Yeah.
you should watch that film. Yes, but the song is basically Eminem kind of comparing his career to his relationships and putting it in perspective, while his devotion to music has led him to nothing. I'm wearing baggy clothes, and that's his It's very well written for a personified career, I guess.
Yeah, and that's why I sort of, even in the previous songs, I sort of alluded to, like, because sometimes when he writes, for him it's easy to write about women in like a manner where they've hurt him, but
Yeah.
sometimes when he's writing, when it's, you'd imagine he's writing about a person, and
But he's
oftentimes
not.
it's not. Like in
Yeah.
Seduction, I sort of again feel it's like success and fame
Yeah.
more than women, and here again it's like you think it's like some sort of tragic love song, like go marry someone else and make them famous, take away their freedom like you did to me. And then he's like, fuck you, hip hop, I'm leaving you, my life sentence is served. So it's, you know, it's just interesting, but he sort of breaks that analogy for that one line by mentioning hip hop. But it's written in a more
25 to
relatable
Life-
way where you can. Sorry?
I got to check if 25 to Life was written after of 25 years of Eminem in the industry.
So 90, I think 96 or 97 was when he recorded the Slim Shady LP, which Dr. Dre then heard. And then I think it came out a year or so. So I wouldn't think, since him becoming mainstream, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
But
But even then,
Yeah.
if it's 96, this came
I
out
guess how long he
2009,
had been like dedicated to hip hop could be.
that could be,
Right.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Through his street life in Detroit.
Yeah. But also 25 to Life is what they call life sentence anyway. So
So Eminem explained this song to Vibe magazine, saying
Mhm.
what the whole song is saying is that I have a strained relationship with hip hop because I love it so much. I go through this thing in my head a lot, which I'm sure every rapper does, which you give your life to this thing.
yeah.
You literally give everything that you got. I came to work same days wearing the same two things in a row, baggy sweats,
Yeah.
which is also mentioned. And, you know, just kind of I mean, that's what it is. Like he says it, that I've dedicated my life to this, and
Yeah.
I'm still, I mean, I got to wear the same clothes for 2 days, even though, I mean, I've got all the fame that you gave me. And yeah, so that's
Now he's
again
eligible for
introspective.
parole. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's like minimum 25 years, I think, or something, and then you're eligible for parole. But yeah, that's his
Okay.
sentence that he's served. But I have to say, again, you know, the chorus is good, but there's this like synth in the background that kicks in now and then, like two types. One is that like the first type example is at like the 1 minute 25 second mark to the 1 minute 47 minute mark, like you hear it. And then there's a second type, which is a more sort of electronic synth that comes in and it's overlaid over that first type, which is at like the 2 minute 2 second mark to 2 minute 12 second mark, one of the excerpts. And again, it just sort of, some of this musical stuff, like in Seduction, you had that piano playing. It just sets it apart musically so much. And it's so subtle that you wouldn't really notice it if you're just listening, or it's not something that you would pick out that, oh yeah, that synth is amazing. But if you hear it, especially that first type, the one at 1 minute 25 second mark, when it kicks in, it really sort of, it changes the vibe of the track quite a bit. Just being quite sort of subtle in the background.
I will have to.
Let me see if I can play it.
That if I end this, I'll no longer have nothing left. But you keep treating me like a staircase. It's time to fucking step.
That it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I don't know, it just,
got
it's
that.
so subtle, but it like really gives the track that feeling it's got. Right.
I mean, yeah, it also has a little bit of pop sound, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind
This
of
album in general, to be honest, quite a lot of tracks have almost like a pop
yeah.
aspect. So much that in later on in the song Rap God, remember he says it's not hip hop, it's pop. But I found a way to fuse it. But I think this album is
Good
one of those
catch, yeah.
examples of like hip hop and pop
Yeah,
sort of being fused.
true. So yeah, so Eminem has now, served his life sentence. Hence, he goes so bad, which is the next track.
I told you I'm shady. You didn't listen now, did you? Relax, woman. You know that I'm only kidding with you. Got a twisted.
It's just, I think it's another party song after the introspective songs, because this is,
Yeah.
I mean, this has no underlying meaning. It's just about him being the best in bed. And
This feels like the Slim Shadiest track on this album. Because this album doesn't really have that like even more old school hardcore Slim Shady stuff, right? It's more introspective and mature in a sense. But this just straight off, it just feels like, yeah, that's Slim Shady over there. There's no Marshall Mathers left in this.
I think there's also this. I wasn't sure if this is off the time, but there was a time when Kim said that he was bad in bed, and this is
Oh.
what came out of it. There has to be
That
a
is
tragedy.
interesting because it's called So Bad as well. Oh, wow. Then it makes a lot more sense to me as well, given that context.
So yeah, I mean, there has to be a tragedy involved with Eminem.
Cool.
And the way
So-
and the way he kind of in that R&B mood, he
Yeah.
kind of booms the dynamite as well with the
Yeah.
woo.
Yeah. I mean this one line what I really like is when he's like, I can hold you in the morning, but in the evening I gotta go because I'm on to the next girl, and the next girl I kind of like. Oh, yeah. That's just Slim Shady all the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this song has a more chill beat than Seduction, I would say.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Seduction is like almost laid back, jazzy on like a piano.
Yeah.
With like a jazzy singer humming in the background. But this is just this is smooth in a different way.
Yeah, even this also has jazz in it, right? Like with the saxophone.
It's got that sort of element of you could say feels like that
And that
jazz.
saxophone is like on that drum beat,
Yeah,
and-
yeah,
right? And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so he's gotten so bad that again, this movie you have to watch, which is Almost Famous, which is also the next track.
Can't stop now. This may be the last chance I get to be famous.
So Almost Famous is this song which is kind of divided specifically with the first two verses like about his rap battle days when he was
Oh,
coming up, and the third verse
interesting you say
being
that.
about
Yeah.
Dr. Dre, because that's when he starts mentioning that Dr. Dre signed him on, and
I see.
that's where, I mean, that's how he's put it. But even the hook for this, where the girl comes in singing, you dream of trading places, and
Yeah,
and as soon as the song sort of starts that I just want to be famous, but be careful what, and that whole flow is like I mean, you're just kind of going on the edge and like stopping right there, like be careful what you wish for,
yeah.
and then you just go into the rap with him describing it all.
Yeah. It's. I mean, and also just talking about the hook again. I love this chorus, and I really had to Google who's singing. And then I remember earlier I mentioned Liz Rodriguez, and then I was like, oh, so she's been doing some of these choruses because I just really love this, like that bit of like that whole like with the music, it's just so epic, right? That whole just that bit is just feels so grand.
I mean, the way it starts, yeah, that because I think that part is just in the beginning where Liz starts singing. Like
Yeah,
after, I
yeah,
think he says something like "I'm getting pushed" or
yeah,
something, and he just
yeah,
then Liz comes in, and then he comes into
yeah,
or like I just want to be famous, and starts with his story.
yeah, yeah. It's and you know, again, it's interesting what you said about that. The first half being about his rap battle days, and the second half about how he got famous. Because what I've written is like it really feels like a rap battle song. Like it's just full of punchlines, like one after the other. He's just going at it, and then it sort of gets more into like how he made it, right? Like his EP being getting the attention of the mighty DRE, and you know he did it. He made it. He's finally famous. It's like that journey is there.
And
But yeah, it's gonna be one of my favorite choruses or hooks. I mean, all of them are, but this one, I don't know. It just really sticks with me.
yeah, I mean it's I I mean it's the music kind of gets you to the, as I explained, like to that edge that you're gonna be famous, but be careful with the kind of a drum roll coming up with the
Yeah,
and
yeah, and then the rap
then the
starts.
rap starts. Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
So after Almost Famous, we have got, I guess, it is the star of the album, widely known, Love the Way You Lie.
I know I'm alive. She ever tries to fucking leave again. I'm tied to the bed and set this house on fire. I'm just gone.
The song is produced by Alex the Kid and features Rihanna. And so Eminem told Skyrock's radio in Paris about the collaboration. The one I did with Rihanna is one of those tracks that I felt like only she could pull it off. And I guess only she could pull it off, we can say now.
Hmm.
Unless it's you and I on the guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
No, it's one of the favorite tracks of the album.
yeah.
But this such an explosive combination. It's almost like one could say it's this is what happens when a tornado meets a volcano.
Oh yeah, that's true. And I mean, so much so that he came back in Rihanna's album with the part 2 version of the song. And this was then named part 1. But yeah, but this is, I think, it divides the breakup stage into 3 parts, right? Like, first understanding why it's happening, that I don't even know his name. I laid hands on, I never stood so low again.
Yeah.
And then comes down to the you ever love somebody so much you barely breathe and so yeah, so you then like have that stage, and then you've got the final third part having like the final phase of the breakup where he will tie her to the chair and set the house on fire because I'm just gonna stand there and watch you burn.
Yeah.
But yes, this song is very relatable. I guess it's commercially a hit. But even otherwise, like the song is, I mean, I just sort of fell in love with the song because if you hear what he's saying, for example, as we do, I mean, if you catch on to one word, the next word is so well written that you know it, kind of.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you've heard the song once or twice, you will remember the beat, the word It's like
Yeah.
well placed, well written. Is all I can say.
It's a very catchy rap song, which is difficult because he sings so fast.
Is it?
Yeah, because I think that's like you hear the lines
Yeah.
and it's like they get stuck in your head,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
The way that even though he's singing it fast, it's like when you listen to like a catchy chorus and it gets stuck in your head and you're just singing the chorus over and over. And it's like some of the lines, it might just be like 2 lines, like, if you're casually listening. But I think this is one of his works where the all the verses are just like very catchy, like, and it's got some really good writing as well. I really like this line where it's like, now you get to watch it leave out the window, because that's why they call it window pane.
Yeah, that's a very good
So it's
use
like
of
that play,
window pane.
yeah, the word play, and
Yeah. And I remember the song, like I rap with the song since whenever, and I haven't been able to forget the lyrics in what, more than 10 years now. But yeah, I'm just saying it's that good a song.
cut the clip of you now rapping when I was playing the song. But and like I guess Rihanna's chorus with his rap, it works so well. But again, it's one of those things where that the hook or the chorus, it has this like grand feeling to it, and it's that the chord progression again, it's more sort of pop, and again it reminds me of that line from Rap God of like, it's not hip hop, it's pop, but I found a way to fuse it. And it's again, this song is like a prime example of that.
Yeah.
Getting Rihanna and the way the chorus is, and even the rap is almost like pop rap. Because again, it's on those chord progressions. The words are, the lines are catchy.
That's exactly
Right.
what yeah.
It's like a pop rap song, and in every way almost, and and Eminem does such a great job, and you really tell he's enjoying it, like as in he's really in it. And I really like, he's done this on a few tracks, but in the last verse, like the last, just gonna, like he says it along with, because he's like, he knows the chorus is coming.
Yeah.
So he just like goes along. It's almost like he's singing it live.
Like
So
kind
it's
of
these
transitioning it a little further than yeah.
He doesn't want to stop. He just wants to keep going. He just sing the chorus. So it's it's these little touches, I think, that again sets this song
There's a
apart
part
from,
where
Don't you hear sincerity in my voice when I talk?
when he says the part, don't use sincerity in my voice when I talk, it's like he kind of yells it out, because you can hear that.
he says that it's like he's talking loudly at that point. It's like
There's
sincerity in my
slight
voice when I
scratch in
talk.
his voice.
Yeah.
Right? So,
It cracks almost.
Yeah.
It's like he's talking loudly. It's got that theatricality to it.
exactly. And
It's voice acting.
it's Eminem.
Yeah.
So after Love the Way You Lie, we get to You're Never Over.
The days are cold, living without you. The night-
So the song contains a sample of the English singer-songwriter Gerard McMahon. It's a 1987 song called Cry Little Sister.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I think, Eminem just kind of paying tribute to his friend Proof. And yeah, he even says it. I think where I am, Proof would be proud.
Proud, yeah. It's and again, it's quite well written as well. Just like mix of emotions that he has from it as well. Like, instead of mourning your death, I'd rather celebrate your life.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I guess, he'll always miss, like, you don't really get over losing someone like that. So like, you're never over. You just sort of learn to live with it, and accept it. And there's a bit of that in this song.
The days
And-
are gone.
Living without
Yeah, and I think there's a bit of almost regret as well. I think in his singing or rapping,
Yeah.
not regret, but just that Proof didn't really see him as he is now, because his life was headed in a certain direction with like his addiction
Yeah.
and everything that was happening in his personal life, and it's only he did relapse as well, but recovery is when he really felt like he's out of it, like he can see the
Even
light.
Relapse, he had a track called
Yeah.
Deja Vu, which was tribute to Proof.
Yeah. So, but this is like him really just saying, him realizing Proof never saw him like this, but he knows that Proof would be proud, basically.
Yeah.
And this is what he wanted, right?
Yeah.
And there's some like interesting writing stuff as well. Again, like him like spelling out words instead of saying them to make them rhyme, like OVER or like SNOOP, smoke G.
I guess
So
to
it's,
increase the
he
number
does
of
these
syllables,
word
like,
plays.
and also
Yeah.
rhyme it.
And you give him a word, he will find a way to rhyme it.
Oh yeah, I
He
remember.
breaks up the word mid-line, OV, and then the next line starts with ER.
I mean, even in 8 Mile, we see that he's learning dictionaries,
Yeah,
Right.
in that movie, right? Yeah.
and again, like going back to the bigger picture of recovery, this is just introspective in the sense of a personal loss, but it's also it's titled in a positive encouragement, right? Like you're never over, like that's
Yeah.
never gonna happen. So, and right after You're Never Over, we get to the final track, which was so rushed, I guess, that it's Untitled. The song features a sample from Leslie Gore's 1964 hit, which is You Don't Own Me. And the song is just kind of I don't know. It's very abstract. Like I remember the whole song, but it's so abstract with the wheels.
It's so
turning.
abstract that it's untitled.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's like, I mean, it's talking about because the wheel turning and wheels turn into gremlin, rin, more so breaking pyramid in an engine.
It's just he's just going on. It's almost like it's from one thought to another thought to another thought.
Yeah.
And just unstoppable.
And I think that with that idea, it would go like, and right after this, You Don't Own Me. Now there we go.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the examples again is like when he's like, "Will I spend even 10 cents on you? Since when do you think it's gonna cost me a pretty penny? If I think a penny's pretty, just imagine how beautiful a quarter is to me." So it's like he's just moving from one topic to another. Wherever the word ends, the sentence ends, whichever word.
Oh yeah.
He just picks up that word and then starts singing about that and on to like the next, right? It has a interesting, because it's like, I think there's like 2 other tracks on this album as well that have, it's not like your normal 4x4 rhythm. Again, it's like, I think it's like almost like 6x8 or something, like 1 2 3 1 2 3. And it changes up the dynamic, especially on a rap song, when you don't have your normal 4x4 rhythm.
The beats here also are quite laid out. Like they're not as fast, but he's like including so many syllables in between that it becomes that fast.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, he's not.
It is a
he's
lot
not
of syllables
stopping.
in each
He's
sentence.
not stopping.
He's not stopping. He's not breathing.
What's that line with the run it up the flagpole with Elton?
Oh yeah.
See if he's cool with it. Don't stand there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a fun song to leave.
Yeah.
I think to leave the album on, Like maybe
Well, I think it
maybe
was
like an
like
idea
a
as
hidden track on the CD, right? Like, as in you let the last song play, as in like it's not, you play "You're Never Over," and then I guess you let the CD play, and then the song just appears out of nowhere.
was it? I don't know if
Yeah, I believe so. It was like a hidden track, so it wasn't listed.
okay.
Which is why it's called Untitled as well. It just wasn't listed on the album
Oh,
in a
okay,
sense.
right.
You play the disc, and then after the last song ends, you just hear like, nah, man, not quite finished yet.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think it was something like that. It's something that we used to see in a lot of albums back when we had CDs for
Yeah.
these. Just let it play, and then suddenly it starts
Now
playing
we've got
something.
singles and EPs. Yeah. So that covers a long list of
Yeah,
songs for Eminem's seventh studio album.
yeah,
But I guess with Eminem having so much background to himself, being so public,
so much
also,
history.
I mean, like, and the history is public is why
Yeah.
I guess he's more respected.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he's been through what he's been through, and he's as open about it, and he also sings about it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it was. I still remember so many songs. So I mean, as I said, like about 70%.
yeah, yeah,
But it's always a rush to get into Eminem. I mean, and this album is literally a push to recovery.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's I mean, like I said, I hadn't really listened to an Eminem album back to back. Maybe his like compilation album, but this was like the first time I really listened to an album beginning to end, multiple times. And again, I didn't really realize how many different like feelings or emotions it has from. Yeah, and this is something I said at the beginning of the video as well. All the different like. There's regret, there's jealousy, there's self-pity, but then there's also like introspection, courage, and there's a lot
of
packed.
introspection, yeah. And
Like his sentences, there's a lot packed in it. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that like the title as well is like so apt, being recovery, because it's like recovery in the sense of like lifting himself back up with all the drug abuse and other drama, and
as
all the
well
other
as
issues.
Detroit at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's an element of like rediscovering himself as well, like in talking to myself, of like understanding why does he do what he does in the first place. And then it's also recovery because it's like a comeback after 2 albums that he thought didn't resonate as much. So it really truly, that name recovery embodies what this music is.
Yeah, there's like a lot of meanings to this one word of an album. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it means a lot of things to the city of Detroit, means to Eminem, means to
Yeah.
people who are fans of Eminem waiting for another album after Relapse being aired.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so that covers Recovery by Eminem. And we will see you with something new next time. Cheers. So when he actually says so when he's
Quite a lot of tracks have almost like a pop aspect to what it feels like. And right now, it's steel knife in my windpipe. Still a fight when I couldn't fight. I feel so ashamed. I snapped. Who's that dude? I don't even know his name. बजा क्यों रहे हम लोग गा दें. Nintendo game, but you light again. Now you get to what you leave out the window. Guess that's why it's called window pane.
The same as me when it comes to loving, just as blinded.
Baby, please come back. It wasn't
you.
me.
Baby, it was me. Maybe our relationship isn't as crazy as it seems.
Maybe that's what happens when a tornado
meets a volcano. All I know is I love you too much
To walk away though, come inside, pick up the bags off the sidewalk. Don't apologize, even though I know it's lies. I'm tired of the games, I just wanna back. I know I'm a liar if she ever tries to fucking leave again. I'm tired to the bed and set this house on fire.
Just gonna